I'm pleased to introduce a colleague from Bates College, Professor Margaret Creighton. She came to Bates before I retired, so it was a little while ago. She received her BA from Indiana University and her PhD in history from Boston University. Her books have looked at those who are often ignored or dismissed by historians. Some of her books had to do with seafaring, our seafaring heritage, but they have looked at it from the point of view of the mariners who actually operated those ships. Or was another aspect was how women and gender affected seafaring life. Now, I happened to read her book, Colors of Courage, Gettysburg's Forgotten History, which is another aspect of what she has been doing. And this is her most recent book. I happened to read it, and I thought this would make a great program for the Historical Society. The program committee agreed. This book is about the civilians at Gettysburg, the women, including the women, the African Americans, and it also involves the German American regiment that was generaled by General Oliver Otis Howard. So that's really a local connection. But the topic anyway is a very interesting topic, and I've been looking forward to it ever since we last summer made the arrangements. I've been looking forward to it, and please join me in welcoming Professor Creighton.
Thank you, Professor Hodgkin. Now, can you all hear me if I try to pretend that I'm on stage and always taught to enunciate and to reach to the back of the room with my voice? But anyway, if I descend into kind of a quiet phase or mode, then let me know and I'll try to pick it up again. Anyway, again, thank you very much for the invitation. Thanks to the Historical Society for the invitation. Thanks for the dinner. Really loved that little Jell-O jewel thing and got into a couple of them. And I'm going to try to keep this short tonight because I think we're all a bit warm. But I'm also going to try to introduce you to some aspects of the history of Gettysburg and then invite you for some comment and invite you into a discussion if possible. When Professor Hodgkin asked me a while ago to visit you all, I explained that my book on Gettysburg had come out a couple of years ago and that I really hadn't had any original thoughts since then. This is pretty much true. But he said that was okay. He reassured me that what was old to me may be new for you. And he also was right in that debates about the Civil War and about the Civil War's meaning just don't go away. They don't ever seem to get stale. In fact, and this is sort of the way I'm going to focus my talk, less on the local connections with Oliver Otis Howard and less on women, but more on perhaps on the African American experience. But just last month, the governor of Virginia, Governor Bob McDonnell, announced that April would be Confederate History Month. I don't know if any of you read the newspapers to see that he made a few comments and there was some response. He said that in Virginia, the Confederacy should be remembered, and that it was time for Virginia to set forth an occasion to acknowledge the men who had fought, as he said, for their homes and communities and Commonwealth in a time very different from ours today, And it was a time, he said, to honor the sacrifices of the Confederate leaders and soldiers and citizens. There were huge shockwaves that ran through the American media and the blogosphere and the Twitter kingdom, etc., in response to the governor's pronouncement. A number of people said, you know, wait, this is the 21st century. You know, we think that you lost the war. We think it's time to get over it. Some people said, but wait, you didn't even use the word slavery in connection with the word Confederacy. What's that all about? And he responded. He said that, yes, indeed, slavery was among, and he put it, as he put it, any number of aspects to that conflict between the states. But he said he had focused on the issues that he thought were most significant to Virginia. A number of black Virginians explained that slavery, in fact, had been and was still significant to them, and they represented over 20% of Virginia's population, and he apologized. The issue just didn't die, though. A political commentator on CNN said that, and he was fighting back, said that by defending Confederate soldiers, the governor was akin to defending domestic terrorists. Both claimed to be fighting for what they believe and fighting against government tyranny. Both are trying any way they can with false arguments and the rationale of bravery to justify what they do. This is getting very, very intense. Now, what surprised me about the reaction to the governor's announcement and so forth, and to this whole back and forth, what surprised me about all of this was that anybody was shocked by what he announced, that there was any surprise at all, in fact. Not only had earlier Virginia governors suggested the same degree of recognition, but, as I will try to explain, in much of the history of the Civil War, the issue of slavery continues to be quite obscured, erased, minimized. And this is certainly the case with the written history and with the public history of Gettysburg. And so in what we read through academicians, what we read in popular histories, and when we visit the historic site itself, slavery is minimized as a topic. I'm sure most of you have been to Gettysburg, right? Some people are nodding sort of weakly. Yes, it was probably when you were in 3rd grade and your parents put you in the station wagon, right? That's usually the way many people, or maybe you put your children in the station wagon and took them down. That's what I did. My children haven't forgotten it. Anyway, since the beginning of the 20th century, which is when the Gettysburg National Military Park was formed, Governor McDonnell's type of history, his take on history, has dominated Gettysburg. And one of the things that we have to bear in mind is that places like Gettysburg, it's a national military park, is supported by federal money by us taxpayers. And so, just to a large extent, we're supportive of this history. So I just want us to be aware of this. So my question today is, how did this happen? How did slavery fit into the history, original history of the Battle of Gettysburg? And then how was it edited out? And so my ambition then tonight is to take you back to 1863 to show you where the history of slavery originally fit into that Gettysburg narrative, and then show you how slavery and emancipation gradually were edited away. So many people, when they think slavery and they think Gettysburg, they think that they don't necessarily fit together. That's either because they don't see slavery as the kind of